So Senda here. Normally I don't really do videos of all champions, basically because they're not as hyped, they're not champions that people want to see at their multipliers, how are they hitting and so on. However, in this case I'm gonna do a quick guide on SOULLESS, basically because it's one of the latest champions that have received the rebalance, and it's a champion that has been in the game since the very beginning. And because of that, I know a lot of people are gonna have it, and a lot of people might be interested in seeing how he hits, how he's maxed after the rebalance. Let's have a look at it. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another raid video. In this case, I don't have champion myself, I had to ask it to a clanmate, so I could borrow his account and I could see the power of the SOULLESS after the rebalance. It's been a long-awaited rebalance, he definitely needed. He's been a champion that's been underperforming for many years, and finally, we're gonna see if finally is going to be useful and where is it going to be useful, how to gear it, and what can we do with him. Let's go here first of all saying thank you to Malkavian, clanmate, their fellow colleague from the clan, and also owner of one SOULLESS. That is pretty interesting, the way he has him geared. I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different ways of gearing him, and he has one that is quite interesting, and we're going to see what is SOULLESS able to do. To do a quick recap on his skills, keep in mind that he's one of the Void legendaries, so also extra points. He's one of these champions that if you pull him, you need to be like, okay, should I be happy? Should I be sad? Is he a good champion? What can I use him for? Or is it complete trash and should we go back to the vault or not? Being Void legendary, we have high expectations of him, and here we have him, SOULLESS, 3 skills, 1 passive. The skills are okay. I mean, it has an interesting kit. Let's have a read first. On the A1, attacks one enemy, 35% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn, and will ignore 30% of the target's defense if the target is under a provoke. It wouldn't make sense to apply a provoke, because a stun and provoke together they don't make sense, the enemy is gonna lose the turn regardless. However, extra ignore defense means extra hard hit. So interesting to have a certain way of ignoring defense built in the kit. On the A2, attacks all enemies, 75% to remove all buffs, quite interesting, especially for like long waves, arena, these kind of places. Also 75% chance to place 50% decrease attack, which is useful pretty much everywhere, and a hex debuff for 2 turns. This is new. I think before didn't used to apply the hex, was applying some provoke and and something else, I'm not sure exactly what, but hex is pretty universal, it's pretty useful everywhere. Decrease attack more the same, useful against bosses, useful against waves and so on. And like I said, don't forget this 75% chance to remove all buffs, all enemy buffs. On the A3, probably his signature move, his star skill, attacks all enemies, increases the duration of all debuffs on each target by 1 turn, and places a provoke on all enemies for 1 turn. So here we have the AoE. This is gonna work pretty good with the A1 because he's also able to apply a counter attack. Places a shield on all allies for 2 turns equal to 30% of the damage inflicted, and a counter attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. And counter attacking, we're gonna be putting the stun over and over again, and also if the enemy has a provoke, we're gonna be ignoring 30% of the target's defense. And the damage increases 10% for each debuff on the target. This is very interesting because this damage increase, if the enemy has 2 debuffs, I understand that this counters individual. If there's an enemy with 3 debuffs, that this hit is gonna do a 30% more damage on that specific champion, but if another enemy champion has 1 debuff, we're only gonna do an extra 10%. So it's gonna be calculated individually for every single enemy that's gonna be receiving the attack. But also, keep in mind that we're gonna be placing a 30% of the damage of the damage dealt, counting all these damage increases as a shield. And this shield, I want you to keep it in mind because we're gonna see some crazy things with this shield because it's really powerful. It's probably one of the best, for not saying the best, shield based on damage. As a passive, we'll ignore 30% of the target's resistance if the target's defense is lower than this champion, and we're a defense-based damage dealer. Normally the hardest hitter damage dealers are the attack-based, then the defense-based, and finally the HP-based. Normally, as a rule of thumb, the allies deal a 25% more damage to targets under a provoke placed by this champion, which is also going to be helping all the rest of the allies, and if there's multiple champions, only one will work, blah blah blah. And then finally, a passive 33% defense in all battles. Has a kit that is not bad, it's interesting, it's quite versatile, but my complaint mainly is the lack of specificity. I mean, is great for waves, but would you put him as a first option for a dragon team, or for a spider, or for an Amius, or for a chimera team? Probably not. He brings value a bit overall across the board. Damage here, certain debuffs that work pretty much everywhere, a provoke that can be useful in certain places, a shield, a counter attack. I mean, it has general use, but it's not top specifically in one place. That's probably the biggest downside. Let's quickly jump on how has him geared him. Here we have him, Soulless, and it's an interesting choice of kit because there's a lot of different options. Mainly because we know he's a damage dealer. We know that what we want here is increased defense. Increased defense is great. What we want here is ignore defense, is the word that I was looking for. Ignore defense, probably certain accuracy, shitloads of defense, 100% of crit rate, and as much crit damage as possible. So things like lethal, savage, these kind of things that are able to ignore enemies' defense are a no-brainer, they're a must. And then he also combined it with the Zeal, another amazing set to increase the amount of damage we deal with our champions, plus 3% for every 25% of HP this champion has. And keep in mind, he's a defense-based champion. I mean, it's going to be quite hard, it's going to be quite sturdy, he's going to be receiving not too much damage, so he's going to be dealing more damage because of that. And also one piece of Slayer to get some extra crit rate, not that he needs it really, I mean he has 104%, otherwise it would be like 99%, 99% and 100% is pretty much the same. And a lot of defense, 7,200, and also quite a big amount of crit damage, 336, and then resistance, not super necessary, but it's always nice to have, and accuracy is pretty good considering that with his passive, he's going to be needing a lot less. I mean, we'll be ignoring 30% of the target's resistance, so we won't be needing that much. In terms of relics, this is one. He opted for the crit damage. There's a lot of different options. I mean, depending where do we want to use him, this can be useful. He doesn't increase turn meter or heal. This could also be useful to get extra turns and hit more times. These ones receive less damage for each debuff, this probably not. Whenever this probably neither. This one could work. I mean, there's certain options, pretty much anything that we would put in a damage dealer will work. Wand of Submission is great for Arena. I mean, there's a lot of different options. Malefic Talon is not a bad option. And then if you want to see in terms of the stat each piece, crit damage with defense, over here defense and accuracy, defense speed with more speed, so it's a pretty decent piece. It's getting 24 plus, no, 26 extra speed, sorry, 26 extra speed. And then here, a bit of defense and accuracy, crit damage, defense is the idea. The more defense, the more defense, the better. Over here, attack not really needed. This attack over here, we just need speed, crit rate, defense, crit rate, crit damage, speed, crit rate, crit damage. In terms of blessings, he went for Soul Rib. It's not a bad option, basically because if we do an AoE hit, if there's an enemy alive, and we have a lot of champions now that are able to survive with 1 HP, these will counter that. Champions like, I don't know, Donatello, for example, these kind of champions, who else? There's a couple of champions that are able to survive with 1 HP, so these will get rid of these champions. This is a great option. We could also go for Nature's Wrath, since he's placing a lot of debuffs now, so we'll be accumulating more and more extra damage thanks to this accumulation over here. If we have 6 stars, again, Nature's Wrath, great option. Crushing Rend, great option. Soul Rip, also great option. And in terms of masteries, these I'm not as convinced. He went for War Master, since now he's going to be more of a damage dealer. We want to be smacking enemies. I would choose Helm Smasher. It's his account, I don't want to touch it, but just saying that I would choose Helm Smasher instead of War Master, and then over here just getting a bit of extra accuracy. So let's bring him somewhere. In terms of damage, it's good that this is just the regular world. It's not a test server. We have here normal people with normal defense in Arena. So let's bring in, for example, to Dragon. It's an interesting place to just test the damage. I've already done this video in Spanish, so I more or less know what kind of damage it's gonna do, and I already had the setups here predefined, but just for you to see it, how hard is the new hit, how hard his max, how big are his shields, and the shields are going to be a pretty interesting topic because we're going to go and see on Arena and on Spider later on what is he able to do now, and it's quite a lot. So here we have Siphi basically for the increased defense. Normally I use Arbiter for attack-based champions, but in this case he has a Siphi, I don't have a Siphi, and we're able to place increased defense, decreased defense on weaken, and let's try the A3, for example. This is probably the big hit. Here we go, A3. We deal 399 to 400k AoE. This is serious damage. This is pretty high numbers. I mean, everything above 300, 350 is normally considered pretty good. It's not crazy, it's not mind-blowing, it's not 1 million AoE, but keep in mind that that powerful hit is going to be placing also a shield on our champions, and that shield is not going to be tiny. Let's go with the A1, for example, while we recirculate the skills. Let's go with this one over here. Remember, this is able to place a stun. The chances are not too high, but we were able to place it. The damage wasn't incredible. Also, the enemy didn't have decreased defense. We didn't have increased defense either. But you can see that he's able to do some things. He's interesting. Let's go again with the A2 with Lydia, and we're gonna see the damage of the A2. I think it's gonna be less than before. I think before we saw from 450 to 500, so quite a lot of damage. And on the A2, 166, so pretty much half of it, a couple of soul rips coming here and there. I mean, interesting amount of damage. He is, I'm not gonna say the best defense-based damage dealer, because he's not. I think Alath is probably above him 100%, and I know that by experience that the hardest hitter one is Ashnar. This guy is insane, especially in the second form. If we have a couple of turns on the first form and then we change him, this guy is maxed like fucking crazy. He's really, really hard for being defense based. SOULLESS is somewhere there. He's in the top 5 best damage, better multipliers, defense based champions. He's around there. He's pretty solid. But I want to show you something else. I want to show you the amount of how big shields are. And this is an experiment I've done that I'll show you in a second. But I want to show you first the amount. Let's get some energy. Sorry, mate. I'm going to use a bit of energy, a little bit of refill. And I want you to pay attention here to the size of the shields. We have a lot of champions able to apply a very big shield here. We have Valkyrie, we have Sir Nicholas, we have Miscreated Monster. We have a lot of champions able to place a big fat shield. The thing here is that we are going to be placing a bigger shield because it's exactly the same as Sir Nicholas. I double checked it. He also places a shield equal to 30% of the damage inflicted. The difference is that the damage inflicted by SOULLESS is way higher. Keep in mind, we're also doing extra 20% damage here because of this damage increases 10% for each debuff, but the amount of shield is insane. There we go. I mean, this kind of shields is Wixwell and Titus setups on Hydra after turn 500. I mean, it's a crazy amount of shield. It's a massive, massive, massive shield. And to prove that, what I did before, the way to try it is, okay, how powerful is this shield if we then deal a damage with a champion that scales off shields? And in this case, we're going to use no one other than the man Titus himself. And this makes me think, maybe, is SOULLESS going to be able to be a champion to place the shields? For example, if you use Anchorite, if you use not Anchorite or Krisk, basically because they're also able to increase the duration of the buffs on our champions. We might be missing that. Here I don't have the shields yet, so I don't need to do a 2 yet. We're gonna do the big fat shield over here, 600k. I mean, the hit was insane. You can see how much shield Titus has. It's a big amount of shield, and I'm interested to see how powerful or how hard is he going to be hitting now to the spider just with this shield of one hit by SOULLESS. I'm not saying this is a is a good setup. That is the definitive setup to set Titus with a massive shield from the very beginning. But imagine now having a Wixwell extending this shield over and over and over and increasing it over and over and over. It could be a very good beginning point for maybe a Hydra setup, starting with the Soulless shields. It's an idea. Let's see the number we're going to be dealing now with Titus to the Spider. With a big shield is 6.9 million. I mean, it's a pretty solid hit. That's what I mean. Like if we put a Wixwell here in the mix, we're able to extend this shield until the end and make it even bigger. This starting point of a shield is a very interesting starting point for a shield. Yes, we do need certain things here and there. We need to have the perfect champions in order to, you know, keep these shields, keep the duration going. If we have something like Yumeko, of course, all these champions in. I can show you this kind of setup because it's not my account. He has used already all the Hydra keys, so I can show it. But I'm just saying that maybe, depending on how is the damage against the 4 Hydra heads, we can be able to start with a massive shield right off the bat. Also, remember that he brings decreased attack, which is pretty useful. He brings Hex to the kit, that is pretty useful. He brings Provoke to the set, that is pretty useful. I mean, maybe there is something there. If you have time and patience, you can try it. I'm just showing you that the shield is one of the biggest. It's a very interesting shield. Now let's jump on Arena. There's a lot of things to show you here. There's a lot of different combinations. In this case, he has a very solid Void champion setup for Arena. We got a Odin, amazing champion, 6-star Siphi, and we want to showcase here Soulless. And it's great that this is not at the server, because here the teams are going to be from normal people in a normal environment. So let's start. Let they have a couple of stone skins, no problem. For example, in this case, Soulless doesn't have a way of counter-attacking, of counter-doing these stone skins. He is going to be able to remove some of them. Maybe we're lucky. Can we remove this other one? No, we couldn't remove the other one, but we can smack. He is going to be alive. I don't think he's a big threat, but we are going to be able to place a big shield and also probably get rid of all these guys here. You can see 231 to the UDK, 140 something. I mean, these 3 champions are defense-based champions. These are solid guys. This is defense-based, HP-based. Obviously, we didn't do much because it has stone skin, and UDK is normally defense-based champions. Are not, what I mean is, like, they're not arbiters, they're not Esios, they're not champions that are going to be paper, they're going to be super weak. They're normally solid, I mean, with high defense, not easy to deal 300k damage, that's what I mean. So, let's have a look. Now he is, he lost the thingy, he lost the stone skin, we can smack. Now, well, that's it. We smack him 111k down on the floor. I mean, I don't think he's as overhyped. People are overhyping him a lot. He's not bad, but obviously an AoE damage dealer is going to be way better. Depends a lot on our RNG, depending if we are able to keep her alive and so on, but it's a solid champion. Let's go with this group of champions here. They're probably going to go on stone skins as well. Let's see. Let's start. We got 1 stone skin. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Increased turn meters. That was Yumeko. That was a bit too fast for my liking. No problem. Let's decrease turn meter over here. This is gonna be a bit of a tricky. Well, she's gonna lose it. I cannot put anyone else to sleep. Okay, let's start with the A1. Are we able to take her down? No, 66,000 is not a bad hit, but we're not able, and then we go on the floor. Let's pretend nothing happened here. That Yumeko was a bit too fast for what I was expecting. These are quite weak teams. These are turtles. Let's start. This can be interesting. Let's go with this. Arena tokens, of course. Let's refill it. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how fast they're going to be. Are they faster than me? No. Okay, that's a good sign. All stone skin, that's a bit the problem. What I mean, like, we don't have any way of getting rid of all these stone skin champions, so for Arena might not be the best place. And now in this case, we didn't remove a single one. Sometimes you clean them all, sometimes you don't clean a single one. It's a bit of a, hit and miss. Let's see. What, well, nice, I can't put him to sleep. I can put this one to sleep. Stone skin, let's get rid of this one, and didn't get in. Now I get protected. Can I kill this one? No, almost, but no. We're protected with this. Can we? Nope. Also weak hit, of course. Here we're having the worst RNG in literally every single one. You go to sleep. Now let's do a decent smack. Okay, in terms of shields, we got not bad. I mean, you can see at least half HP just of a shield. They'll revive because they have Marichka here, but it's not a big deal. I can tank easy all these hits from this nice. She's still in stone skin. She's extremely slow. Extremely slow. Now she lost it. No, didn't lose it. No, now she lost it. Okay, I'm not concerned of nice hitting me. I mean, I have a big fat shield that I just placed. Third meter, increase defense again. Now stun. No, resisted. Okay, that Marichka is really tanky, but she's gonna go on the floor anyways. Not concerned about that. She's gonna go on the floor. There you go. This revive with a couple of fears, so you go to sleep. She's gonna cleanse them though. Resisted, so she's also very high in resistance. Down on the floor. This one loses turn. You go back to sleep. Let's get rid of this nice. I could put their skills on cooldown, but I'll wake him up, and I don't want to wake him up. You can see, I mean, we're wearing this team down slowly but steady. AoE hit, boom, 400k to nice, 400k. I mean, 1.1, this is a lot of team power, and the champions are not bad at all. Maybe SOULLESS is not the best arena champion, but you can see has certain mechanics. He's able to shield our champions pretty decently. He's able to put a couple of divas quite interesting. The stun when it wants to go in on the A1 when it procs is also quite interesting. I don't know. Let me know what you think of this SOULLESS or SOULLESS in general, if you have him, if you don't have him, if it's useful, or where do you use him after the rebalance. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I'll leave a recommended one over here, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.